I was scared of every sight of any animal, be it a cat, a dog, even birds. If I would see too many birds, it was so dramatic. He said, Why don't you do this? This is exactly what you're supposed to do."
Hello, and welcome to Critters and Cultures, the podcast where we explore the fascinating intersection of animal welfare and cultural diversity. I'm your host and veterinarian, Dr. Azalea Boyd, ready to uncover how our cultural differences influence, enhance, and sometimes challenge the way we care for animals and relate to each other. Join us on this journey through global traditions, learning from diverse perspectives, and advocating for empathy and respect in all our interactions. Today, I am thrilled to welcome Aleesha Agarwal Goyal to the Critters and Cultures podcast. Aleesha is an animal communicator, a crystal therapist, and an incense maker based in India. Her unique blend of spiritual practices and cultural wisdom deeply connects her to the world of animals. Today, we'll dive into her story, the influence of Hinduism on her work, and the cultural significance of animals in India. Let's explore how animals reflect human behavior and what her journey can teach us all. Aleesha, it is so good to have you on the show today.
Hello, Celia, and I'm so happy. Thank you so much. This is beautiful. Thank you so much. My heart is full with that introduction. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, it is a very impressive introduction. And I'm sure that the listeners are like, wow, that sounds so incredible. And actually, what you do as an animal communicator is pretty unique. We haven't had any guests on the podcast that have had that experience. So I'm sure everyone's excited to learn more about you. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your journey? I know that when we spoke initially, you told me that you came from a corporate learning and development background to animal communication. Tell us about you. Tell us about your transition.
Oh, yes, it was really dramatic. And I think till date, my family is in denial. This is what I do. I'll tell you why. I used to be this girl who was very scared of animals. In fact, until I was about 22, I was scared of every sight of any animal, be it a cat, a dog, even birds. If I would see too many birds, I would feel like, okay, this is not my place. I need to leave or I need to pivot. That's not the place I need to be. And one day, just out of nowhere, my sister decides to adopt a puppy from the streets. We have beautiful strays in India, and she just got one home. And when she got one home, I didn't touch him for about 3 months. Cutting the beautiful long story short, today I am. It's been about 11 years that I have been communicating with animals. As a family, we've had about 24 pets. Some of them are in the heavens now. Few of them are with my sister in Canada, and 9 of them are with me at home.
Wow.
So I have 7 cats and 2 dogs, and it's crazy. When I look back, I think even I don't believe that I'm an animal communicator today.
Yeah.
I started my journey about 11 years ago. I was still working in learning and development, and as I progressed, I just knew that this is something I'm never going to leave. It's going to be a part of my life. It's only until that I got married, and my husband adopted a dog before we got married. It was so dramatic. He said, Why don't you do this? This is exactly what you're supposed to do." And that's when I realized, oh, yes, I've been doing it for 11 years. It's what defines me. I became a hypnotherapist, a crystal healer, and everything else has come in my life because of the animals in my life. It's to put it that way, yes.
That is incredibly beautiful. And it's so interesting to know that something that was once a childhood fear transformed into your life's passion, something that finds you, you said, right? What is an animal communicator? For those that are listening, they're like, what does that even mean?
If I had to explain it to you in the most simplest of ways, it's like you and I are communicating with a common language, through a common language. The common language between us, animals, and all other beings in nature is telepathy. If you look at a mother and a child, their bond, we say, oh, it's mother's love and all of that. Of course it is that. It's also telepathy. All of us are born with a telepathic nerve, and it is very easy for children to connect and operate out of it. And because mothers are so connected with their newborns for a brief period, they understand immediately what is it that the child wants. In fact, people who have animals at home, they would relate. After a few years, one look from your animal and you know exactly what is it you want. Telepathy is talking talking to an animal using our telepathic nerve, like I call it. It's all in the mind. I could be someone who speaks Hindi, someone who speaks English or any other language. I will hear my own inner voice in the form of the response from the animal. The questions can be anything under the sun, because I often tell this to my clients. What do you think is the purpose of your animal? Is it just to eat and play and that's it? What do you think they do all day? They don't watch TV. There is nothing for them to be entertained with. What do you think they do? They connect with us. They guide us. And as we move and progress in life, when you start connecting with your animals at home, you will realize their advices sometimes can actually be a savior. They have an opinion about our relationship, our life, our work, everything.
That is amazing. I've never heard it being compared to a mother and a child's communication. And as a mother, that resonated with me a lot. I can look at my newborn and kind of have a whole, in a way, a conversation, right? A level of communication with this baby that is not actually speaking my language or a language at this point in time. And if I had to go back to think about my early years, as you said, like as children, when I was always intrigued by animals and connected to animals, I would gaze in these animals' eyes. And even still now, as a veterinarian with my patients, and sometimes it does feel like there is a level of communication that's going on. Now, I know that you are skilled in this and you've developed the expertise in this. I do like that you kind of brought out that we're really kind of all communicating with our animals in some way, shape, form, or fashion. That is amazing. So you guide your clients. What are your clients asking of you? Can you give us an example of what clients would ask of you?
Yes, in fact, the communications can be as simple as, how's my animal feeling? Generally, how's their health? Is there anything they want to tell us? To something as serious as, what do they think about my partner? What do they think about my job? Why do they think my boss is troubling me so much? What do I need to change about myself in order for my pet to become better? And when the communication is very self-reflective and the human being is ready to work on themselves, because there are times, of course, I'm sure all of us will relate, that we've had difficult animals who are not able to understand us, we're not able to understand them, and it's a total chaos. There's so much stress. What do you do then? You try to sit and understand the animal. It's also important to know that it's not natural. The environment we live in, from our flooring to our ceiling, I always say this phrase, from our flooring to our ceiling, nothing is animal friendly. We no more live in a forest. And then you get a puppy or a cat or any other animal, you expect them to become a human child. You expect them to live in order, to be organized, to be mannered. How is that possible? We're not growing trees for them. We don't have a ground. We don't have, I mean, I have a dog who's huge, but I don't have a place where he can constantly dig because he just wants to. So they're trying to adjust. And when we ask self-reflective questions, our life with them becomes very easy. I think then the experience elevates to a very spiritual one with your pets.
And I absolutely love that, going on a spiritual journey with your animals. So you have clients who ask you things when the animal is alive, right? Do you ever go into veterinary clinics with your clients and their pet and speak on their behalf or help facilitate those conversations?
So it happens all remotely. I don't really visit the animal anywhere. All I require is their name and their photo, and yeah, I can start communicating with them. The reason I don't visit them in person is because if they are at a clinic, it's already a stressful environment and they're not in their best of health or space. Seeing someone physically whom they've never seen before is already going to cause a lot of emotional anxiety in them. While I can, sit and communicate with them live, face to face, I prefer the pet parent disconnecting with that situation for a few moments, coming out of it, and then let's have a talk. Let me talk to the animal telepathically. So I don't really require them in person. I do speak to animals who are in the heavens also, those who've crossed the rainbow bridge. They often have life-changing advices.
Wow. And when was this moment that you knew that you could talk to animals in this way and facilitate conversations in this way?
So it was when my first dog and the second one that we adopted, they started to have a blood bath at home. And I'm not even being dramatic. They used to tear off each other's skin to an extent that every other day there would be blood at home. And
Wow.
from the four of us living, I would be the only one who would be able to kind of detangle that fight. And I really wanted to find out what is going on. As soon as I'm home from work, they start to fight. What's going on? That is when, this is about, I think, 13 years ago, we connected with a communicator. And her responses made a lot of sense. And when we started making changes in our lifestyle, in our living, is when we started seeing changes in their bond. It's not that they became best of friends, but yes, they never really bit each other after that.
So
And I
it
decided I am going to do this.
Yeah,
Yes.
that is beautiful. What do you say to people who don't believe in your skills and abilities? Do you ever get that?
I get that often, in fact. Not so much now, but initially because 11 years ago in India, it was even more uncommon, And I was a person who never loved animals. I became an animal lover first and then an animal communicator. I come from a space of deep acceptance and empathy, Azalea, because I understand how we're conditioned. I know how we're programmed, and we're consistently thought that we're the apex species, like we have control over everything. And when an animal who's so tiny and adorable and cute, and you're constantly feeding yourself from social media that their life purpose is only to act cute, is telling you that partner that you're with is not good for you, it is going to attack your ego. And it's okay to totally be in disbelief that, okay, this is not something I want to listen. I think
Right.
now I have it, but once a year I get these kind of people, but it's okay.
They just don't use your services. And if they want to be blind and deaf to certain things, then that's on them, right? Okay, so let's dive into some cultural perspectives. Hinduism and animals. So, Hinduism plays a significant role in shaping the views on animals like many other religions. How does your faith influence your views on animal welfare and practices, let's say, like euthanasia?
So, euthanasia is something that is not spoken about in India at all, at least not openly. But if you talk about Hinduism and animals, those who practice Hinduism, we know that every celebration and anything that is painful in your life, you need to offer something to an animal. When you visit, so there's some, how the world has a family doctor, we have a family guru, a family astrologer who guides us that, okay, what's going on in my life and what do I need to do to come out of it. From the very beginning of our life, we're taught to care for animals. Even if you don't have that love, it's okay, just offer some food. So for pigeons, for crows, to dogs, cows, I've always been so scared of cows, and my guru used to always tell, the family guru would tell me, just go and feed the cow. I can't feed the cow. So he's like, okay, place some food on the ground, that's fine. As a child, you're taught this is good. That consciousness is there. One other beautiful thing in Hinduism is all our gods and goddesses, most of them at least, have an animal as their vehicle. So, which is called a vahan in Hindi. Typically, something that carries you from one place to another, from being in 3D to 5D, a different dimension. So if animal is that, how can it not be pure? How can it not be spiritual? How can its purpose be just to come into my life, act cute, eat and leave? It has to be something bigger.
Can you tell me more about the dimensions? I think I missed that just a little bit. Just I want to understand that a little bit deeper.
Okay, I will explain this in a more generic way. Cats
Yeah.
also are called half and half out animal. What is half and half out animals? Which means they're here in the third dimension where we are right now in our conscious mind, and they also travel in the fifth dimension. What is that? That means that they can travel to different worlds. Now, a lot of people think, oh, this is crazy, please. It's not possible. How can a tiny animal do such a big thing? The soul does not really have a size. It's the body that you're looking at. Okay, I get it. Now, if somebody is, a certain height and somebody else is much taller, does that mean that they can travel easily to another dimension? Not really. The body has nothing to do with it. So I was saying that, Hindu gods and goddesses, they have animals as their vahan, as their vehicle which can carry them from one place to another, from earth back to the heaven. And one of our gods, whom I deeply believe in, who's also my guru, Hanumanji, he himself is half monkey and half man. So when you pray to a god who's half monkey and half man, you know that animals are magical. We've just forgotten.
Wow, that is incredibly beautiful. And I love that. And I think so many of us, as we get to the space of social media and disconnecting from our true beings and meditative practices, like there's probably so much that we can learn from your religion. When we spoke, you did mention something going back to the cat, black cats. There was something that you said about black cats often being misunderstood globally. Yet there's cultural significance that you shared about black cats. Share more with us about their symbolism in India.
In India, I wouldn't speak for everybody, but it has been a common practice that we're scared of the color black. Black in its non-living form, like black clothes, a black wall or a black couch. We're kind of scared of it because we feel that color, when it's non-living, when it's not in existence, it brings bad luck. The same kind of got applied to a black cat because that same consciousness that human beings are the apex species, and anything else that is black is bad. It came to a point, I think, where a lot of people started feeling that black cats are evil. They are up to something. They would go to the extent of sacrificing black animals.
Wow.
There's a very dark side to it also, but I think with the new world that we're all creating with so much awareness, the kind of animal parents I meet now, they have so much admiration and love for their black cats. Most of them have shared stories which gave me goosebumps, where their black cats have actually healed them physically or routed them to a problem that they were turning their blind eye on. I have a black cat. I have a black dog.
Yeah.
And for a very brief phase in my life, I was going through something and I realized they are also falling ill. So they are healers and they have very powerful way of kind of absorbing our negativity. But I always tell people, when you have black animals at home, you need to work on yourself far more than any other animal because they're natural healers. While that goes for every animal, but they tend to absorb our physical illnesses too. That's my experience.
Wow. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I think black cats and black pets overall, I mentioned they're misunderstood globally. So I don't think that's something specific just to India, like you mentioned. But there was a point in time in the United States where the most number of animals that was in the shelter were black cats and black dogs. Nobody was adopting the black cats and the black dogs. But I agree. I think that there is a shift that is happening, and black cats and black dogs are being more accepted and more adopting. So this is,
Yes.
I'll
give you a small example. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say I'm amazed, but go ahead.
So there's something called a Shraddh in India, which is you offer food and you remember the ones who've crossed over your ascendants. On that day, it is considered a very good omen to feed a crow, which is full black. Now, what's the irony? You're scared of black animals, but you have to feed only a black crow first. It's considered a good omen. They're considered messengers to our ancestor.
Wow, that is incredible. Aleesha, thank you so much for sharing this and part of your culture, your religion, your life with us, especially as it connects with animals. I do want to segue. You also create incense products, right? With a focus on natural materials and cultural traditions. Tell me a little bit about the process of making these products and how it ties into your work with animals and maybe even your spiritual practices.
So when I began my hypnotherapy sessions and when I began my crystal healing sessions, I realized I personally was very empowered by fragrance. And I just knew I cannot be using anything that is not animal friendly and that is toxic because I have pets all around me when I'm doing sessions, be it an animal communication session or a healing session. And that is when I realized I really need to learn how to make toxic-free, chemical-free cones and incense sticks. So incense sticks uses bamboos is why we've discontinued that as a product now. It's not considered to be the best practice in Ayurveda, but we still make handcrafted, very beautiful incense cones, and we use natural oils. There are fragrances like lotus, vetiver, something that the West uses a lot, sage, something in India we use is gugul, which is an equally powerful fragrance to ward off all evils and get your energy back, feel centered. I always recommend it to my clients to have gugul as a fragrance in your house, and you will start seeing differences. So yeah, I was very clear when I start my own products, it has to be pet friendly so that all of my clients and anybody can use it.
I
And
love,
yeah, let's
yeah, I
just
love how
begin with
much,
that.
I love that you incorporate your pets into the work that you do and everything that you do. What advice would you have? Because I do think, well, let me ask you, do you agree that we're somewhat all animal communicators? Would that be disrespectful to say, or would you say that that is something you would agree with?
That is something I would agree with, because when an animal walks into our life, primary purpose is with the person who's at home. While if it's a family, then usually animals choose one person at least they have a life purpose with. And this person will have a natural inclination and a different kind of love towards their animal. You will be communicating with your animal, and sometimes it so happens that a disease, and I'm talking about serious matters now, when a disease just pops up on in your mind and you constantly think about what is this all about, and then it shows up on your social media feed, a friend also mentions, and then you realize your pet actually has that. It was your animal trying to communicate to you from a long time. So, and we think it's coincidence. I don't
Right.
think there are any coincidences, because then you are totally dismissing your inner voice and you're born with nature and animals.
That's interesting that you say that as well, because in the clinic, I've seen patients that have a certain disease that their animal, that their human owner also has, right? And people ask, like, is it coincidence? Did we spread this to each other? Or even just the behaviors. The behaviors often mirror the behavior of the human person, right? So if there's anxiety and stress, then that dog or cat is likely to have high anxiety, high stress, right? So I do see that a lot.
Yes.
I want us to get something from you more so that we can deepen our understanding of how we can communicate with our pets at home. Would you have any advice on how we can do that? How can we all deepen our understanding or our communication with the animals that we have in our lives right now?
A few things, and in fact, I can even suggest an exercise that all of us could try, and try it again and again until you feel you're able to get connected. But first, start looking at your animal as a being who's as or maybe more powerful than you are.
Mm.
That's one. And second, stop treating them as babies. Numerous times I find clients saying that, oh, we treat my dog is my baby, my dog is my firstborn, my cat is my firstborn. No, they're not. I'm so sorry. And I say this with a lot of love for your babies, our babies, and for the animals. A human child is a human child because it's not grown, not developed, a totally codependent relationship. An animal is an independent soul who walks into your life from day one trying to teach you something. It's not the other way around. The reason all of us are having so much chaos understanding our animals, because we're trying to teach them something instead of trying to understand, why are you in my life? Why out of all of the animals you walked into my life? So operate with a lot of love and try not to treat them like babies, because most animals have told me, can you please tell my human to stop kissing me, hugging me, cuddling me? It gets too much.
Oh
So that is something we need to
no.
stop.
Well, unless they're babies, right? Like if they're actual babies, is that okay?
Even when
nine
they are
weeks
babies.
9 weeks old. I actually have a puppy here. It's my parents' puppy, but it's here with me, and I can't even help but to treat this little baby like a baby.
I get it. We've all done that. I have done that too. But I've
Yeah.
realized that they like play, they like engagement, they like us to sit
Yes.
with them and understand what is it they want to tell us. One exercise that all of us can try is every night before you go off to sleep, you inform your pet that I want you to come in my dreams and I want you to show me an image that says you are happy. And you won't realize, most of my clients have confirmed within the first 2 attempts, the third night they're able to receive a beautiful dream in the form of a memory of their pet who's living, of course. And when they start doing this activity more from the next day, they realize it's an instant connect. There is a new energy, there is a renewed sense of belonging that starts flowing from the human towards the animal. Another thing that you could try is sit with your pet and very gently stroke them, and you can even try with shelter animals and ask them, what is the one thing you want to show me? Show me something. Just show me something. We don't have to be a clairaudience or clairvoyant for that. I'm so sorry if someone told you that you have to be a gifted person. No, we all have it. The animal will show you what they want to show you, and then it's up to you. You want to believe it or not.
Aleesha, thank you so much for sharing. And I know that I will for sure be trying this with my own, now I don't want to say babies, but kind of, right? With my own pets at home. And appreciate you giving us this insight into, again, your life, your religion, your culture, who you are as an expert. Before we wrap up, is there anything else that you'd like our audience to know, either about animal communication, your cultural heritage, the work you do? Any final thoughts that you want to leave the audience today?
Thank you. Thank you so much. It has been a beautiful talk. I just want to leave all of us with a thought or maybe a question. Why is your animal in your life? What do you think is their life purpose? It cannot be just to, enjoy, chill, take care, eat food. There is a deeper purpose. Find out when did you get your pet. So dig deeper and see how you can build a communicative bond with them, because you will realize they will start showing you their world through telepathy. It's a magical world, and so many of my clients who have lost their pets and we're still able to communicate with the ones in the heavens, it leaves a long lasting closure kind of an experience. So yeah, just maybe believe in it or give it a try. See how it goes for you.
Thank you, Aleesha, so much. Thank you for sharing your insights with us today. You absolutely have a beautiful and unique perspective on animals and the way we relate to them and bond with them, on your culture, on spirituality. Truly, truly eye-opening. I know the audience will walk away with a deeper appreciation for the human-animal connection in general. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you all for joining us on Critters and Cultures, where we explore the deep connection between humans, animals, and the world around us. Remember, every person has a story, every creature has a story, and every culture has its wisdom. Until next time, stay curious, stay compassionate, and keep discovering the wonders of our shared world.